On February 13 at 11:42 p.m., Shia LaBeouf is handcuffed on Bourbon Street after a Mardi Gras arrest, and 72 hours later, a judge orders mandatory inpatient rehab. One line from the bench changes everything. Witnesses say he paces in a purple-lit doorway, arguing with officers as beads scatter across wet pavement. Body cam timestamps read 11:47 p.m. By midnight, he is in custody, but that's not even the worst part. Court documents show a $5,000 bond posted before sunrise, yet prosecutors push for something stronger than fines. Not probation. Not community service. They request structured treatment, but that's not even the worst part. Everyone assumes this is another headline that fades in 48 hours. But inside the courtroom at 9:17 a.m., the judge references prior patterns and public risk. That language feels deliberate. Almost surgical. Here's the contradiction. Defense attorneys argue he is already in counseling. Yet the bench insists on inpatient rehab with monitoring. If he is stable, why escalate? And who is pushing behind the scenes? Stay with this. Because by the end, you understand why this ruling is less about one night in New Orleans and more about a pattern stretching back years. And one sentence the judge delivers hints at that shift. February 14, 9:32 a.m. The judge states, this court prioritizes rehabilitation over repetition. The room goes silent. Reporters stop typing. That phrasing spreads online within minutes and sparks something bigger. By 10:03 a.m., the clip trends in 12 states. Commentators split instantly. Some call it compassion. Others call it control. But buried in the order is a 90-day inpatient requirement that few notice at first glance. 90 days means restricted travel, supervised progress reports, random compliance checks. This is not symbolic. It is structured. And if he violates it, the suspended sentence activates immediately. Stop. Rewind that. A suspended sentence hanging over his head changes the leverage completely. This is not just treatment. It is pressure. And pressure does unpredictable things. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, cameras capture him stepping into a black SUV, jaw tight, eyes forward. No statement. No wave. That silence speaks louder than any apology, and people notice. Insiders claim discussions about voluntary treatment began weeks before Mardi Gras. If that is true, then the arrest becomes a tipping point, not the starting line. That timeline matters more than it seems. Because here's what few connect: prior public incidents follow a pattern: escalation, apology, reset. The court appears to interrupt that cycle mid-spin. That interruption is the real headline. At 2:14 p.m., paperwork confirms inpatient placement begins within 7 days. Not optional. Not delayed. Structured intake. And the facility must report directly to the court. Here's the number that changes everything: 3 compliance failures trigger automatic review. No debate. No extension. That clause sits quietly on page 4, but it carries real weight. And before anyone says this is routine, it isn't. Most first-time misdemeanor cases never reach mandated inpatient care. This level of oversight signals concern that goes beyond one chaotic night. Back in New Orleans, Bourbon Street returns to music and neon by sunrise. But for him, the narrative shifts from spectacle to structure. The party ends. The monitoring begins. Friends reportedly urge privacy. Critics argue accountability. Both sides speak loudly. Yet the only voice that truly matters now is the one signing weekly progress reports. And then comes the twist. The judge schedules a review hearing exactly 120 days out, not 90. That extra month leaves room for evaluation, extension, or enforcement. That buffer feels intentional. Right now, as of today, the order stands. Inpatient rehab. Strict monitoring. Suspended consequences waiting quietly in the background. Some call it mercy. Others call it a final warning. And honestly,
Both arguments carry weight.
Day 3 of inpatient intake begins at 6 a.m. with routine vitals and orientation.
Small problem. But by noon, a compliance officer flags limited engagement in his first group session, and that note doesn't stay private for long.
He tries to fix it fast.
Longer participation. Extra one-on-one counseling at 4:30 p.m.
On paper, progress improves. But internally, tension builds, and someone inside the program starts talking.
By day 5, whispers reach a blogger claiming special accommodations are in play. A private room. Flexible hours.
That rumor spreads at 9:14 p.m. and suddenly the court's neutrality is under scrutiny. The facility denies favoritism within 12 hours.
Official statement. Tight language.
But the denial amplifies the suspicion.
If nothing is unusual, why clarify so quickly? And who pushed them to respond? Time jump. February 21st, 8:42 p.m. A leaked photo surfaces him outside the main building during restricted hours. Grainy. Zoomed. But enough to ignite outrage within minutes. Small problem becomes bigger. The image suggests a policy breach.
He insists it's a supervised walk approved by staff.
But the compliance log from that night tells a different story.
Someone inside the court clerk's office notices the discrepancy at 10:17 a.m. the next morning.
An internal email circulates.
Now more people are involved and oversight tightens instantly. And here's where it spirals. The judge schedules an unscheduled check-in call with the facility director.
Not public. Not on record.
That move signals concern far beyond gossip. The facility scrambles to contain it.
Staff meeting at 7:30 a.m. Phones collected. Internal memo warns against external communication.
The cover-up begins, and it already looks fragile.
Stop.
Because here's the number that reframes everything: 3 prior high-profile clients leave this same facility early within the last 18 months.
That statistic surfaces, and confidence cracks. And that's when we realize the strict order was never just about him.
It is about the court protecting itself from another public relapse cycle.
The person everyone blamed might not be the main variable.
He attempts another correction. Volunteers for extended monitoring.
Requests daily check-ins instead of weekly. It looks proactive. But extra visibility means extra scrutiny, and scrutiny reveals cracks.
On February 24th at 6:58 p.m., a second leak drops, this time alleging tension with another patient.
Minor argument.
Raised voices.
Nothing physical. But optics matter more than intent.
The facility labels it verbal disagreement. Yet the compliance addendum lists it under behavioral event. Language shifts subtly, and that shift carries weight inside a court file.
Direct address. You're probably thinking this sounds minor. But in court-mandated treatment, minor accumulates fast. 3 flags trigger review, and we already count 2 documented concerns. Meanwhile, February 26, 9:05 a.m. A tabloid claims he is considering transferring facilities. Small rumor. But if true, it requires judicial approval, and the judge hates surprises. He denies transfer plans through legal counsel at 1:12 p.m. Strong wording. Committed to completion.
But the denial fuels speculation that exit strategy discussions already happened quietly.
And here's the loop closing. That leaked photo from February 21st?
It is confirmed to be supervised after all. One concern resolved, replaced instantly by 2 new ones.
March 1st, 8 a.m.
The judge orders a mid-program status report, earlier than scheduled. That acceleration signals impatience.
And impatience inside a courtroom rarely ends gently. Right now, the program continues. 2 flags logged. 1 cleared. 1 unresolved.
And a judge watching closer than anyone realizes.
If one more incident surfaces, the spiral doesn't slow, it snaps. March 3, 7:12 a.m. The mid-program status report hits the judge's desk. 3 pages. 1 paragraph circled in red. The clerk pauses before walking it in because that paragraph changes the temperature instantly. Slow motion. The judge reads line 14. Stops. Adjusts glasses. Reads it again. The phrase non-compliant behavior pattern emerging sits there. Quiet. Clinical. Devastating. His hand freezes over the signature line. 2 seconds stretch into 10. The pen taps once against the paper. Then twice. The courtroom clock ticks louder than it should. He signs. Not angrily. Not dramatically. Just one clean motion at 7:18 a.m. The order modifies supervision terms effective immediately, and no one inside the facility knows yet. 24-hour supervision. Meanwhile, inside the facility at 8:03 a.m., staff receive the faxed amendment. A supervisor's face drains of color. Phones start buzzing. The immediate circle realizes this is no longer routine oversight. By 9:12 a.m., a court database update goes public. A legal blogger screenshots the modification. Within 14 minutes, the image is everywhere and the caption writes itself. 2.6 million views in 3 hours. Headlines harden by noon. Court tightens grip. Supervision intensifies. Screenshots of the red-circled paragraph trend beside slow zoom edits of him leaving court weeks earlier. The narrative shifts from recovery to risk. And his response? Silence. No statement at 3 p.m. No attorney briefing. Just a scheduled 120-day review still looming and 2 compliance flags unresolved. If one more line gets circled in red, this doesn't escalate, it detonates.